Hi, I'm Christina, and this Summerween I read 3 vampire-themed novels. Last week we unpacked Carmilla, so this time we will discuss Bram Stoker, Dracula. Story in 1 paragraph. Rich old Romanian count seeks help from a young English solicitor to purchase a property in London. Once the young solicitor finds out who the count really is, he will, together with a diverse group of men, venture to stop the count from purchasing properties in other places around the globe. Dracula's style. Bram Stoker uses ornate prose with amazing description of scenery, local food, travel notes, people, customs, habits, and superstition. Some might love it, some might hate it, but Dracula is written in the epistolary form, meaning that the events unfold through a collection of diary entries, telegrams, letters, travel logs, and newspapers. This can be connected to the 19th century trend of publishing diaries and travel log accounts. This collection of entries will prove essential to the plot, signifying that Dracula can only be defeated through common efforts. Dracula's themes. Of course, we can draw some similarities in here with Carmilla. One of the main themes of Dracula is, of course, sexuality and the link between vampirism and passionate desire and lust. There are various symbolisms that made Victorian-era readers clutch their pearls in disbelief, and one of them is, of course, the sapphic undertoned friendship between Mina and Lucy, and the second one is obviously the sexual awakening Lucy has in her second life, who from shy and reserved becomes this sexually aggressive predator. A second theme can be also considered race and immigration. Immigrants of different backgrounds have been seen throughout history as a threat. According to various analysts, Dracula can represent a form of reverse colonization and the fear that England faced back then of being invaded by other races. I know, the audacity. Characterization of the vampire. Here, Stoker adopts some of the characteristics of folkloric vampires, such as aversion to garlic, the killing methods, meaning the stake through the heart and decapitating, and also the need to be invited. What he introduces as a new characteristic of the vampire is the rest in the soil from their homeland, also having no shadow and no reflection, and the inability to cross running waters. One topic that I really like about the characterization of the vampire is daylight aversion. Daylight aversion we can see the same as Carmilla. It does not kill vampires. It simply makes them weaker. One of the characteristics inspired by Carmilla is the supernatural morphing. Whilst in Carmilla we see that the vampire can transform into a cat, with Stoker, Dracula can transform into a dog or a bat. This was my second time reading Dracula. I considered it for many years one of my favorite books. I am not the reader that I was when I was a teen, but I still consider it a great read. Of course, as a classic, it has complex phrasing and vocabulary, but the best thing about classics is that they allow you to travel to a different time and place, and the only thing you can do is just observe. I love the descriptive passages of the travels, and I believe Stoker did a great job incorporating travel logs from the brochure guide, as well as drawing inspiration from real-life events regarding the shipwreck of the Demeter. If you can do a research about the shipwreck of Demeter, it's a fantastic story. I'd like to believe that Stoker chose to portray the man as condescending towards the women in general, towards Lucy and towards Mina, and this attitude towards them resulted in everything falling apart and resulted in terrible outcomes for everyone. I am a firm believer that the reason the 5 men were able to in the end defeat Dracula is because of Mina and thanks to her input. There are parts that I disliked, such as the derailing of the narration towards mid-end of the book, using excessive paragraphs to over-explain and over-detail the facts. The villain origin story of Dracula is not really explained. The reason behind conquering new territories is not explained either. Other items such as Dracula's 3 brides, why they are unable to feed themselves, why can Lucy feed herself instead. There are plot holes that would have been nice to explore. Fun facts about Dracula. Contrary to popular belief, Bram Stoker did not use Vlad the Impaler as his inspiration to create Dracula as a character. Stoker discovered the name Dracula in his extensive researches, and he drew inspiration from a passage regarding Dracula as a name. Dracula as a name was used by Wallachians to simply mean devil. Another fun fact, Dracula is the most portrayed literary character with over 700 appearances across all forms and media, and the second one is Sherlock Holmes. Drawing a parallel with Carmilla. We can observe that both have similar diary-style prose that allows the reader to kind of peek into someone's intimate thoughts. There is the eerie mountain setting present in both, the connection between sexuality and vampirism. Lastly, initially, Stoker wanted to locate Dracula as well in Styria, which is exactly where Carmilla is set, and then chose to locate it in Transylvania. And of course the sexual undertones between Carmilla and Laura, which inspired the relationship between Lucy and Mina. I am one of the many believers that think Lucy deserved better, so I will see you next time with Lucy Undying.